Hello, and on the gaming table today we're taking a look at playing Man of War. So James not only plays War Master, but he also has an original set of Man of War, and so we decided to put this on the table and have a bit of a play too. James has a few different fleets that he's been slowly putting together, so I took an Empire fleet and James took a Dwarven fleet. We got all the templates and things out of the box and put some islands on the table, and then we laid out our ships and got stuck into it. I'd never played Man of War before. I'd not actually even seen it being played, and so this was interesting for me to learn as we went along. It's an alternating activation game, which is cool, and we got to maneuver the fleets around on the table here a little bit and start to get some shots in at each other once we got a little bit closer. James had a little bit of luck with Man of War cards. He had one card that allowed one of his ships to go double speed, basically the entire game. So the dwarves were running rings around me at one stage, but I was trying to give as good as I got. Here is that aforementioned ship which is charging towards me, and it got in range of one of my wolf ships quite early on and managed to do quite a lot of damage to it as well. So it was lucky to survive the battle, and in fact I think at the end it didn't. But then my counter to that was to try and ram and board James. Unfortunately the ramming didn't work, but it was starting to figure out how do these rules work and what damage can I do here. Quite a lot of fun to work out. I don't know if most Man of War battles turn out this way, but our battles started to turn into a close-range confused melee, with ships shooting at each other like crazy and also trying to board. At one stage here, James had a Nautilus that managed to submerge and try and fire torpedoes at me. Unfortunately, he rolled a 6 on the template here, and it passed between my ships without causing any damage. I wasn't having very much luck with the shooting dice. I rolled a lot of 1s, which were just not doing anything. So in the end I decided, let's try this boarding action stuff and see how it works. So I managed to get some of my smaller ships into contact with some of James's smaller ships, and we had these boarding actions where we were killing crew on each side, and a couple of my ships actually got completely uncrewed, and James took one of them over and scuttled them. Fortunately, I managed to do the same thing to James on the other side as well, and so at the end of the day, we called this one a draw, but it was a good fun fight, and the only reason we stopped playing, honestly, was just we were running out of time. So for my first game of Man of War, I actually found it a lot of fun, and it's a bit retro, but I think the mechanics are actually quite nice. I quite like the way the shooting works and how the hits get applied, and the boarding actions are short and sharp and brutal, and just there's not a lot of dice that you have to really worry about. Yeah, there are a few counters, but that's okay, nothing too fancy. But it's not a huge, big kind of bucket of dice game. You have to think about where you're positioning your ships, you have to think about how they're going to move, where they're going to fire, when you're going to take the risks on things like boarding actions or ramming. And so overall I think it's a good game. It makes you think, it makes you plan ahead, and you can just have a lot of fun bashing away at each other with your ships. Would I play it again? Definitely. And James and I have another game teed up, maybe next month. Okay, well, I hope you found that a little bit interesting to see one of these old retro games. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again real soon.